What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. One of you guys said in the comments on the last video, why don't you say the S? Well, it's just a habit. It's Wrestling's Premiere, obviously. But that's not even the point right now. This is just one of those episodes that everyone knows or remembers. It really was a memorable night due to the fact that a lot happened. You know, Nidia was drafted to Raw. Some guys' career took a turn for the better, while others were rewarded for being drafted. The Joe Louis Arena crowd, the Detroit crowd was just so damn exciting. Triple H was about to faint. John Cena wore a Barry Sanders jersey. I like this episode. It's one of the more memorable episodes in Raw's history. So I played a bit of SmackDown vs. Raw this week and wanted to make something from this era, as I haven't made something from here in a while. I believe the last time I made something from 2004, probably Simon Dean. Yeah, it's been a while. But anyways, 2004 draft. Before I get into this video, I just want to let you guys know that the next video is oddly enough on Teddy Hart. I wanted to make something on him for a couple of months now, I just never got to it. Following that, I will definitely do WrestleMania 25. I was actually going to make it for today's video, but after almost losing my voice while making the Mick Foley video, I decided no, I'm going to pass and wait for it till later this week. Okay, enough talk, let's get into it. The show kicks off with a Raw and SmackDown superstars wondering where they're heading, and ironically, the three most powerful men in 90s wrestling stood side by side. Mr. McMahon relayed the rules to both men, and Eric Bischoff wanted his champions exempt, but McMahon reminded him that everybody's eligible. That was pretty awkward. If you're wondering, the show was in Detroit City, and just watching this, the SmackDown guys look so out of place. It's really weird when you watch stuff from this era, you know, 2002 to 2005, I'd say. Whenever a Raw guy goes to SmackDown or vice versa, it just feels and looks odd. But anyways, the first pick of the draft lottery was given to SmackDown. Paul Heyman, of course, had to introduce himself, garnering heat from the fans. There was, of course, a little mention of the incident from Thursday where Heyman nearly pissed his pants after taking a tombstone from The Undertaker. But as for the first pick, it caused a little rupture in a faction. What was that faction? It was La Resistance, because Rene Dupree was the one who was going to SmackDown. The commentary is hyping him up, impressive accolades, and now he comes for his match. Rene Dupree trashed the fans. He wanted to right the wrong of last week, that being the stunner from Stone Cold, and so demanded one final match on Raw. Y2J Chris Jericho ended up accepting the challenge. And I don't know about you guys, but 04 Jericho is one of my favorite iterations of his, and I think it's a shame he never got a world title run during this time period. I feel he was very over with the fans, and I feel it was ready, honestly. I don't know what you guys think, but I really loved 04 Jericho. He was exciting. It was fresh seeing him as a good guy once more. And I just think he should have been world champion again during this time period. Anyways, he was very aggressive on the attack because he was still angry over WrestleMania 20. Renee struggles because of this, but managed to catch Jericho with a beautiful drop kick. He does the French tickle twice and nearly screws himself over, and back to square one. The young upstart gets caught with the enziguri, and that's all she wrote. Rene Dupree rages like a bunch of fans yesterday over Daniel Bryan's inclusion in the main event, and out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sheriff Austin, I should know. He wanted to give Rene a little handshake, wish him well on his future endeavors. He does just that, and boom, stunner. And as for the match, it was just there. By the time I started to get into it, it ended just like that. After the commercial break, Jackie and Rico are in the ring as Eric Bischoff's preparing to select his first pick for Raw. It made it seem like Raw was the A show because Vince chose them to host the draft lottery. Cena chants intensified, but it wasn't him. It was yet another tag team split. Shelton Benjamin this time around, and so the world's greatest tag team was no more. A great pick. Shelton Benjamin really benefited greatly from this change of scenery. He turned into this valiant babyface that wanted to excel, and right out of the gate, they made him seem like a much bigger deal than he was on SmackDown. All of a sudden, Kane comes out and the bell rings. Rico tries going after him, but a boot to the face and a choke slam quickly wrapped things up. I guess Kane doesn't get paid by the hour. He then walked up to the ramp and threatened both GMs, stating he doesn't want to be on the same show as The Undertaker. Paul Heyman then proceeded to criticize Bischoff's authority towards his guys. He's like, you got to get a handle on your guys or something along the lines of that. And it was time for SmackDown's second pick. Another super group was broken. Eric Bischoff was, of course, pissing himself over the thought of Evolution being gone, but luckily for himself, it was Mark Jindrak. Jindrak didn't really do much on SmackDown. He was a protege of Kurt Angle's, but yeah, other than that, he wasn't really doing anything. I think Luther Reigns was much more notable than him. After the commercial break, Eric Bischoff pulls out yet another draft pick. And he's like, Raw's the home of good-looking people, and this pick is just that. And guess who it was? It was Nidia, and damn was Ray let down. Also, they listed her measurements on the screen. Again, Ruthless Aggression era was a totally different time. She comes out and takes her SmackDown shirt off in favor of Raw's, and Paul Heyman wished she'd go blind again. So it was time for SmackDown pick number 3. All of a sudden, John Cena, the new United States Champion, donning a Barry Sanders jersey, representing Detroit, makes his first ever Raw appearance. A lot's wrong with this image, right? I mean, the US title, the Raw background, John Cena on Raw in 2004, it just looks so damn odd. He proceeds to do a little rap of freestyle, and he's like, Paul's wearing a neck brace because he's blown the whole lottery. He told Bischoff that he's more Raw than Monday Night, and even if he gets drafted, he doesn't want a shirt and doesn't want to kiss ass. And before ending the little freestyle, Cena told Paul to choke on these nuts, and he proceeded to make the next pick, telling Heyman that he's given him one ball, but he's still got no. Heyman refuses to stick with the pick, but Bischoff was threatening him. Unfortunately for the Raw GM, it was the Midas touch. Paul Heyman asked Bischoff if he's sure that it's his pick, and he's like, yeah, I want you to read it out loud. Paul Heyman's like, well, Mr. Bischoff, since you insist that I take this pick, Paul Heyman SmackDown is very pleased to welcome, there's this little pause, Triple H. And oh my god, I love this moment. Triple H is about to choke on that water with the shocker of 2004. You'd think he was being released with the reaction he gave, and Eric Bischoff, the guy who was kissing up to Evolution for the past year, I guess it was something along the lines of this to Eric Bischoff. The Raw roster was so ecstatic over what went down except for Teddy Long, who I assume is sad that there will be no more tag matches involving the game. But yes, Triple H is gonna work Thursday nights. Evolution was busted up. It's definitely up there with the most shocking draft moments in history. Probably number one. It has to be number one. I take this one over the John Cena one in 2011. The next match was between Christian and Spike Dudley. So Captain Charisma was fresh off stealing Jericho's girl and stealing the match at WrestleMania 20. He had some momentum by his side and decided to bully Spike on Raw the previous week. Rather, the gay Spike went after Christian, slew of stomps, punches when Trish decides to get involved, and almost screws up in the process of doing so. Despite the fact that he was still taking punishment, Spike almost stole the damn match from out of nowhere. Nice crossbody from him leads to them fighting up top again. Spike wins this battle and goes for another stop. That gives him a near fall, but Christian managed to right the ship by throwing Spike into the post before hitting the unprettier for the W. Again, it ended pretty quickly. I just don't really get into these kinds of matches. It's not like it was bad or anything. I just couldn't get into it because it ended right before I knew it. And it was time for the next draft pick. Eric Bischoff was still feeling the effects of Triple H leaving and went to the back in order to complain to Mr. McMahon, explaining how John Cena made the pick and how Raw can't lose Triple H. Heyman, of course, had to interrupt and gave a good-ass suggestion. He wanted Eddie Guerrero to defend the WWE Championship against SmackDown's newest acquisition. A little sweet talk from Heyman leads to the match being made for the main event. Back to the draft at hand. Eric Bischoff refused to be upstaged by Paul Heyman, stating that he, Eric, is known as a progressive, forward-thinking guy, and regarding the next pick, he didn't give a damn if it was Big Show or Michael Cole. Whoever's the next guy to get drafted to Raw will challenge Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship. Funny enough, it was a Detroit City native, Rhyno. So Rhyno's now a babyface, and oh look, an actual match is going down. It was Rob Van Dam and Booker T defending the World Tag Team Championships against Ric Flair and Batista. You know, I always forget that RVD and Booker T had a remix song from that WWE Originals album. As for the challengers, it was at this point where Evolution was finally coming into its own. You know, Batista was back in form, so was Ric Flair. Randy Orton was rising faster than anybody in the company. While Triple H did have 20-minute promos, he was much, much, much better this time around than he was in 2003. So the bell rings, Booker and Flair start things off, and the champs took early control. Cool crossbody from Van Dam gives them a near fall, and it was essentially a game of cat and mouse between those two. Nice double team from the champs, but it ain't enough for the three. Batista gets fed up and Flair's back in. Again, Booker whoops his ass, and Flair had to go for a cheap shot. He slows down the pace, hitting a chop, a body slam, and a knee. A slew of chops in the corner leads to Booker fighting back with some chops of his own. I said that word a little too much. He finds that aggression, but just as his wheels are in motion, elbow from Flair, he goes up top and fails. You see, Ric Flair successfully landing an aerial move is about as likely as The Undertaker playing video games. It's very, very rare. This leads to a 5-star from RVD, but he hurt himself in the process of doing so. And after the commercial break, Batista's trying to wear down Booker T, all while the fans are rooting for him. He breaks free and hits that cool thrust kick, and RVD was back in. They showed Team Spear, and if it wasn't for Ric Flair, it was very likely that they would have won it then and there. Ric Flair takes advantage of the ref and chop blocks Van Dam. He gets tagged in and RVD's locked in the figure 4. He's shouting in pain and agony, but he had enough wherewithal to reach the bottom rope. At this point, the leg was a huge liability, but despite this, RVD caught him with the enziguri and a step over, which hurt him. Booker's back in, and he's got a hell of a lot of momentum. Rights, chops, forearms, clotheslines. Hell, he even hit a bookend. He went for the spinner Rooney, thrust kick to Flair, and then the scissors kick. Once again, Ric Flair broke the fall, and so RVD hit the Rolling Thunder. Batista, meanwhile, attempts a Batista bomb, but Van Dam caught him. Wrong. He actually caught Booker with the missile kick, and he hits the Batista bomb. 1, 2, 3. That was a good-ass match. I enjoyed it for the most part. RVD and Booker T, as expected, were fun as hell. I really liked it, and I didn't expect it to be that good, honestly. It's not anything bad. It's just I expected something else from them. But yeah, that little accident ended up doing something devastating to the team, and I really think RVD and Booker should have been bigger at this point. And that's something about 2 million others agree with me on, but still, it was a decent team and it was a good-ass match. I enjoyed it. Meanwhile, on the stage, Paul Heyman announced that the next SmackDown pick, ironically, it was Mr. Monday Night, now Thursday Night, Rob Van Dam. Eric Bischoff was annoyed over this, and in the back, the former tag team champions are talking about how they've got a rematch clause when the coach gave Van Dam the news. Booker T was livid over this, whereas RVD was in shock. Well, kind of. The next match is for the World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Benoit, the champion, defends the gold against Rhyno. Man, 2004 really was Benoit's year. Nobody barring Eddie or Orton came close to the year he had. It's common knowledge, and I just wanted to say it again. Collar and elbow tie-up to start things off, and already it was rough. Rhyno with an Irish whip, little bump there, and he sends Chris face first into the turnbuckle, near fall. Rhyno then goes for the sharpshooter as the fans boo. Benoit couldn't connect with anything at this point, and as he was trying to go for a sharpshooter, it wasn't to be, and the Benoit train took a while to depart. It was only when he connected with the Germans that things started looking good for him. He goes up top with a headbutt, but it wasn't enough to keep Rhyno down. And as a matter of fact, Rhyno bounced back with a spinebuster before attempting the gore. That wasn't to be, in the arm that he crashed into the turnbuckle was locked in for the crossface. He taps, and that's all she wrote. Again, decent match. If it had been on pay-per-view, which I doubt they would have had Rhyno on pay-per-view against Benoit, it'd be much better. That's one thing to mention. Like, if this match was much longer, it'd probably be a gem. Meanwhile, Shawn Michaels demanded Eric Bischoff trade him to SmackDown because he wants Triple H. In an effort to keep HBK on Raw, Eric Bischoff gave him a title match against Chris Benoit at Backlash, and so, problem solved. After the commercial break, it was time for Raw's next pick. Kurt Angle chants intensified, but it wasn't him. It was Tajiri. The Japanese buzzsaw was let down by the pick because his little faction was no more. And I should note that he turned into a babyface afterwards. Paul Heyman opened the little ball and it ended up being Theodore Long. And why in the hell is Jazz so mad? It's not like he's the one who made the pick. As for Raw, it was Edge. The crowd went crazy and Paul Heyman's trying to veto the pick, stating that he's not on the roster yet. He's on the injured reserve. And the hatred of jealousy between those two was off the charts at this point.
Wipe that smile off your face before I wipe it off for you.
It was fun. He opened up another ball and was completely let down. You'd think he opened some Ultimate Team packs or something by the looks of it. It ended up being Spike Dudley. Heyman was fed up at this point and wanted Bischoff to make the final pick, and it was a bombshell. Eric couldn't believe it, and Heyman was about to piss himself. Paul shouting for him to say the pick, say it. And it ended up being Paul Heyman, and the SmackDown locker room was celebrating. Oh, while the Raw locker room was angry. Because of this, Bischoff asked Heyman to wash his car, do his laundry. Heyman said that he's unable to appear in front of these animals they call fans. Add to that, he would never sell his soul to a piece of slime like Eric Bischoff. What did this mean? He quits. Basically, Paul Heyman said, I quit. Eric Bischoff was walking down to the ring all proud, bragging about how he managed to withstand 2 GMs, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he wanted to inform everybody on Raw and SmackDown that Eric Bischoff's back in a big damn way. Not the fans' way, but his way. You Think You Know Me plays, and he's back. Eric was more than welcoming of the 12-time tag team champ, but unfortunately for himself, Edge wasn't too fond of him, and he speared him right back to WCW, and damn did Eric take a bad bump. The original broadcast version was much better because you can hear the actual fan reaction, the Rob Zombie music, and it was a much cooler moment, but hey, you already know that, right? And it was time. The main event. Eddie Guerrero defends the WWE Championship against SmackDown's newest acquisition, Triple H. Talk about a main event. Eddie Guerrero at his best popularity-wise against Triple H at his most hated. Depends on how you see it. The game came out donning red before ripping it off in favor of blue, and this was an awesome match. It obviously isn't standout due to the action, but it's still a match I suggest you watch regardless. So the bell rings. Eddie offers his hand down just as Triple H leans in. He's bamboozled, and the look on his face, awesome. He sold it very well. And Eddie was all disrespectful. Rough collar and elbow tie-ups, little takedown from Triple H, gets the dirt off his shoulder before running into an arm drag. Eddie Guerrero was intelligent knowing that his good buddy Chris Benoit roughened up that arm at WrestleMania, so he goes after it. The whole feeling in the atmosphere is of that in an alternate universe or something. Like Taz and Cole on commentary on Raw, Eddie Guerrero and the ref on Raw, it's just odd. But anyways, Eddie Guerrero continued working on the injured arm, bumping it into the post, twisting it with the arm wringer, but he walks straight into the Harley Race D. After the commercial break, Triple H is in control and he throws Latino Heat straight into the steel steps before regaining his energy. The game continued the assault, and then the ring works on the injured back. You see, the challenger was a student of the game. He knew that Eddie was hurt and was taking advantage. Guerrero had some fighting him, but Triple H quickly put a stop to it with a big back body drop. A little backbreaker from the newest SmackDown star, and he locks the champ in the abdominal stretch. Triple H took a little page out of Eddie's book trying to cheat to win, but the ref catches him, and as Triple H is looking for something, Eddie counters into a tilted head scissors. Little drop kick from the champ, they trade shots, Latino Heat wins, and as he begins building momentum, Triple H catches him with a sleeper, nope. Backdrop. Eddie hits the tornado DDT, but it gets him a near fall. As he's going for something, Triple H catches him with a face buster, and again, it was a near fall. He goes up top, gets caught, and receives a slingshot, and Eddie's back in it. He hit the hat trick, better known as the Three Amigos, and Evolution comes out. The distraction leads to a Triple H DDT, and as Flair's on the apron, Batista hands Triple H the WWE title, and John Cena and Rey Mysterio, of all people, decide to do something about it. Shawn Michaels comes in, super kicks Triple H, and planches the rest of the bunch, and in the ring, Eddie Guerrero goes to the top rope for the frog splash, when Christian, of all people, ruins everything, causing the DQ. Van Dam's here, and he attacks, and all hell broke loose. It was SmackDown versus Raw. Eddie and Triple H trade rights, Kane and the Big Show run down there, Flair's pissing off the Big Show, the glass shatters, and Stone Cold brings in even more reinforcements. JR shouting on commentary. Austin's even involved with this, and I can't say this wasn't the best brawl of the Ruthless Aggression era. Like, this is the one. This is the best one, no doubt about it in my eyes. Wow. The match itself was pretty good, and I wish we got to see a pay-per-view match between them. And it's unfortunate that it never happened, but hey, this is good enough. This match was pretty damn good. And like I said, if you're an Eddie Guerrero fan, Triple H fan, or fan of the Ruthless Aggression era, you gotta check this match out. You have to. But yeah, my favorite match of the night was definitely this. I like the Booker T and RVD match also. The segments were pretty entertaining. I really enjoyed watching Bischoff and Heyman bicker. Yeah, of course we gotta mention the fact that Eric Bischoff had to trade in storyline Booker T and the Dudleys just to get Triple H back. Following the draft, SmackDown took a huge nosedive. You know, the roster was weak as hell, and JBL debuted. Bradshaw turned into JBL. I personally feel that they should have gotten more here. In my opinion, I think Chris Jericho would have done well on SmackDown. They should have sent him there, but they really needed a couple of more heels and perhaps an additional babyface, like I said, like Chris Jericho. And had Triple H remained, it probably would have been even worse. It's for the better that Triple H remained on Raw rather than left for SmackDown, because had he went to SmackDown, Eddie Guerrero's momentum would have been halted. It would have been a whole other story on there. Yeah, like I said, SmackDown, they really struggled, whereas Raw, it was one of their best damn years post-brand split. 2004-05 Raw is so damn awesome. What do you guys think of the 2004 draft? Please comment down below. And that's your first video. Make sure you hit a frog splash on the like button, and perhaps the pedigree and the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.